Okay, well, I'm going to get started here. So welcome to the workshop and welcome to the webinar, of course. And this is our Elevation Health, name of our office, Keys to Cancer Prevention, one that I've been teaching for many years, and certainly updating the research, updating the information that I want to provide for you tonight. The way I feel is there is no cancer that has not been survived by someone, right? So regardless of how far advanced it is, even if one person has succeeded in healing cancer, there must be a mechanism for it and reason why that happened, just as there's a mechanism for creating cancer. So disease, we call disease a disturbed condition. It's not really a thing or an entity. It's a disturbed condition. We use a word called dis-ease, lack of ease, lack of function in the body, which really leads to disease. So we're going to talk about that lack of function that leads to disease, certainly. So, and I believe the cause is the cure. The cause is the cure. We're going to talk about that tonight as well. And, not big pharma. Big pharma is not the cure. So if we can find the interference, remove it, the body can heal. If we remove the deficiency, what is lacking, if we remove the toxicity, we believe the body can heal. And so education, as you guys know, coming on my workshops for many years that I've taught and the webinars certainly lately, is education is a big part of what we do in our office. Prevention, being proactive with knowledge, right? So certainly being preventive, proactive, but getting that knowledge, lack of knowledge. It says in the Bible, lack of vision, lack of knowledge, my people perish. So lack of knowledge is very, very important that we do not have that. So when it comes to your health, we need to gain more knowledge. The best cure is never getting disease in the first place, certainly. So get ready to learn something tonight. And so we're just going to go basically slide by slide here. The first of all is we got to give you a disclaimer. I'm just going to put this on just for 2 seconds here, but I'm required through these social media sites that I put a disclaimer on here. Okay, you can look at that later. These are recorded. Yes. And so, again, want to welcome my patients, but also welcome those from the community that have come in. And we're glad that you're all attending at this point. So let's start with eye-opening cancer facts. Now, is it better or worse today, cancer, do you think? Is it better or worse today? It's worse, of course, right? So now the number one cause of death in Canada now is cancer. It's now overtaken heart disease. Billions of dollars have been spent on cancer research. Richard Nixon in the 1970s declared the war on cancer, former president of the United States, and since then there's no cure. No cure has been found. However, billions of dollars of cancer research, but still no cure. So you don't want it. I don't want it. But if you get it, what will you do? So in the 1920s, it was 1 out of 20 people developing cancer. In 1940s, it was 1 out of 16 people. In the 1970s, so in my lifetime there, it was 1 out of 10. Now it's about between 1 out of 2 or 3. Between 2 and 3. 1 out of 2 or 1 out of 3 people. That's a problem. And so it's time, and basically a third of women develop cancer in their life. Half of the men develop cancer. 40% of the men basically develop cancer, so about 40%. So it's time to take matters into our own hands, to be proactive. It's time to educate ourselves about real prevention and treatments that work, whether they are at the top of the media or not. Okay, so the bottom line is that there's a lot that you can do to lower your chances of getting cancer. You can take control of your health. Don't wait for a diagnosis. Take the reins. Be an active participant with your newfound knowledge. And based on the research, that I've read over the years, and newer research is coming out all the time, we can definitely decrease our risk of developing cancer and chronic disease for that matter, and also radically improve our chances of recovering from cancer if you have it. Well, so we'll lay out many of those strategies tonight And so many things we're going to talk about tonight, many of the strategies. So you'll think maybe I'll start, you'll start doing something, you'll start doing one thing, doing a couple things, doing this or that. Maybe you'll start eating better. Maybe you'll start detoxifying the body, maybe start exercising, reducing stress, getting the nervous system, getting your body working better, functioning better, getting your nervous system working better. But listen, the way I feel, if you're not living your life like you already have cancer, then the odds are you'll probably get it, unfortunate to say. So again, having a strategy to prevent any disease, right? What is your plan? What's your strategy? So let's talk about how to maybe make the body inhospitable to cancer. So has our DNA, our genes, has our DNA really changed that much since the 1940s or 50s for cancer to increase from 1 out of 20 people to 1 out of 3 people developing it? And the answer is definitely a strong no. Your genes, your DNA cannot change that fast in 100 years. So the reason why cancer's increased is not due to genes. So what has changed? All the things that create a bad environment for our DNA to be activated or turned on. Okay. And at my one of the events that I teach for my patients in my office called the Dinner with the Doc, I actually takes patients out to dinner, and I do a dinner talk. I talk about the seed and the soil. Some of you may remember this. The seed and the soil. It's not really the seed, the virus, the bacteria, the disease that just unluckily or accidentally takes over our body. It's our internal environment, right? Our cells, our soil, if you will, our immune system, our soil that we made ripe to allow the seed of a virus, for example, heart disease or diabetes or cancer to develop. See, the pharmaceutical establishment is not really looking for causes per se, correcting the soil, but they sure as heck are pushing another toxic drug and another to treat the symptoms, masking the problem, leaving you less healthy and still having the problems. So epigenetics, the word on the right there, the epigenetics is what can actually control these genes. Epigenetics is the environment, how it's defined is it's the environment that you subject yourself to and your body to. It's way more powerful than your DNA. So, the first draft of the entire human genome was in the year 2000. And at that moment, what's called the central dogma of molecular biology, that our DNA controlled protein expression and thus disease risk, was disproved, actually. Our genome was found to contain roughly 20,000 genetic instructions, not close enough to account for the 100,000 proteins in the human body. So as a result, we must now accept that factors beyond the control of the gene, known as epigenetic factors, largely determined by a combination of nutritional, mental, emotional stress, psychospiritual states, environmental exposures, and other lifestyle factors, the body functioning, the nervous system, other lifestyle factors that actually feed back into our physiology. So they found that the lifestyle, the epigenetic portion, constituted about 95% of what determines health risk. So with cancer, even the psychological trauma, like if you get a diagnosis, even the psychological trauma associated with being diagnosed with cancer can drive malignancy due to the adrenaline-induced, what's called multi-drug resistance. Adrenaline-induced, you're so stressed out, you have multi-drug resistance. This was in the New England Journal of Medicine, talked about increased risk of heart-related deaths in the 7 days following a disease or cancer diagnosis or disease diagnosis. So as for cancer, all of these things here we're talking about, lifestyle epigenetics, means that 95% of cancers would be preventable if that logic holds true. And you must understand the pink ribbons and the government, they're not spending their budget on prevention. It's about 2%. 2% of all the money that is fundraised. As with all cancers, degenerative diseases, chronic inflammation, and free radical, you may have heard that before, free radicals, oxidative stress, free radical generation are the ultimate causes. Clean up the body, the toxic areas of our life. It's not easy, but it's not supposed to be. So it takes knowledge and it takes an active participant. So the fact is that genes can be turned on or turned off. Okay? So, and it's affected by your lifestyle, your environment, inside of your body, outside of your body. Cancer-causing promoting genes can be turned on. Cancer-promoting genes can be turned off. Cancer-fighting genes can be turned on. And cancer-fighting genes can be turned off. So, and then what about the BRCA? So some of you know there's a genetic test called the BRCA for breast cancer, BRCA genetic test. In the US Preventative Services Task Force recommends that only women with a strong family history even think about getting a BRCA test, genetic test, which is about 2% of US women. However, what you learned is that even if the gene is identified, the genes do not alone make the disease. But women have a prophylactic mastectomy. They have the gene, but there's no evidence of cancer. And this is what some have done. A mastectomy, because they had the BCRA gene. The public is also not aware that thousands of mutations in the BRCA1 and BRCA2 genes have already been identified. So adding more complexity to the treatment recommendations. Okay. So to add further complexity, some of these so-called mutations actually reduce the risk of breast cancer. They're actually good for you and had a preventive effect. So another blind spot is that approximately 70,000 breast cancers, 31% of annual breast cancer diagnosis in the USA. We're talking about US statistics here, but about 70,000 breast cancers, 31% of the annual breast cancer diagnosis in the US are misdiagnosed by the vast breast cancer awareness and treatment complex each year. An article published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that 13 million women in the US were overdiagnosed and overtreated for so-called breast cancer in the past 30 years. These were screen-detected abnormal breast findings that would never have progressed. So these diagnosed women were given treatment including mastectomy, lumpectomy, radiation, chemotherapy, were considered statistically as a survivor whose lives were saved by the medical establishment. However, these stats were inflated. They were inflated, the statistics were inflated to make it appear that these treatments actually were more effective than they actually were. Just like with COVID, inflating statistics, inflating the number that actually died from COVID versus how many died with COVID, but not from. So this has been going on for some time. There was an actress, well, you know the actress Angelina Jolie, okay? So a few years back now, she had announced that her bilateral mastectomy, she had a bilateral mastectomy due to having the BCRA genes, had a family history. There was no evidence of cancer in her breasts, no evidence of actual tumor, but she actually went on and actually had both breasts removed. When that happened, the stock shares of Myriad Genetics company, the patent holders of the BRCA gene itself, soared. And then these women opt for breast implants, which are linked to cancer. So that's some of the history there. So here's the first thing: eliminate cancer-promoting drugs and testing. Right? We want to turn off the cancer-promoting genes. So I'm just going to go over a few of these. And these are medications. So medications are known to be toxic to the body. They're chemicals. For example, antacids. So the U.S. and Canada pulled Zantac. It's an antacid, acid reflux, which contained ranitidine from the shelves over a possible link to cancer. So they took that off the market. Women taking one aspirin daily for 5 years, according to the National Journal of Cancer Research, increased their risk of breast cancer by 80%. You know, I've been teaching this, these workshops, webinars for many years. How many times have we heard this? My patients have told me, yes, doc, I've heard you say this many, many times. So there's so much marketing that goes on. It takes decades before the truth actually comes out. Powerful companies, lobbyists, skewed research. You know, it's very big money. Cholesterol drugs have shown to increase risk of breast cancer by 83 to 143%. This is again in the Journal of Cancer Epidemiology, Biomarkers, and Prevention. Okay. Now, the research on the statin drugs, the rise in cancer risk. So with statin, you know what statin drugs are, right? Lowering cholesterol, that's for heart medication, basically, lowering cholesterol, has been shown to indicate a rise in cancer risk, prostate, melanoma, colorectal, kidney, and breast cancer. And this is according to the National Cancer Institute. 12,500 men and women over 10 years using statins over that period of time. Doubled the risk for breast cancer taking statin drugs. Men with lower cholesterol levels increase cancer risk as well. We go over that in our heart webinar, our heart workshop. The CRP. So there's inflammatory markers that can be measured by doctors. One of them is called C-reactive protein, CRP. CRP is known to be a better determinant of inflammatory markers, inflammation of arteries, for example, for heart risk than cholesterol. Manufacturers of statin drugs have recognized the fact that statins depress the immune system. Did you know that? Statin drugs are known to depress the immune system, which can lead to cancer and infectious disease, which is why they're recommended as an immune suppressor for transplant patients. So you have a transplant, heart transplant, whatever. Oftentimes they'll put you on statin drugs. All the more reason why natural solutions, natural interventions should be the first line of defense. Don't you agree? Then there's antibiotics. Studies have showed associated with increased risk of breast cancer. Well, let's unpack this. Antibiotic means against, against life, biosis, biotic, against life. So what's a probiotic? A probiotic builds up good bacteria and gut bacteria in life, right? 70 to 80% of your immunity comes from your gut. So these antibiotics are killing, and drugs in general, they kill or they affect one thing, but they can certainly cause another. So antibiotics for kids impairs their immune system from growing strong, possibly linked with later getting cancer. Antibiotics at the drop of a hat is what we're referring to here. Just using antibiotics at the drop of a hat. And not just side effects of medications are well known, but also impurities. So here's 4 actually high blood pressure medications that were taken off the market the last few years. They found that there was impurities, again, that were causing cancer. So throughout history, so many drugs have been recalled, taken off the market. Yet the companies are protected. There's no liability there. The leading cause of death, 1995, a paper that was published in the Journal of American Medical Association and Life Extension Journal, they believe that medical errors, adverse reactions to medications, hospital-acquired infections, unnecessary treatments, iatrogenic or doctor-induced death or disease was the #1 cause of death. If you correct the cause of the problems, then you don't have to take medication, right? For the rest of your life. I get it, medications, I get it. No shame, you take a medication, but it's for emergency, first aid. I get it. Yeah, absolutely. But then make changes, right? So you don't have to be on it the rest of your life. And what corrects the cause? You know, I believe the right kind of doctors who do the right type of testing and lifestyle changes. See, my job is to provide, you know, kind of both sides here, provide truth, information, knowledge. But why do some people apply the information and others don't? Well, that's the quandary, right? I really believe that many people don't think a disease will happen to them, especially the young people, right? The young people. It's not going to happen to me. I won't become a statistic. Well, you look at the statistics, my goodness, the odds are it's going to happen unless we do something different. So people just go on their merry way, eat, drink, and be merry, as we say. They eat only for taste or convenience. They drink to escape their stress. And they take drugs to feel good or be merry, over-the-counter prescription medications. So is this how we're supposed to live? You know, the top-selling drugs in North America, 2 are depression and anxiety, 2 are cholesterol, 2 are high blood pressure, 1 is acid reflux. So this is a problem. Is this a sign of a healthy nation? Disease is rampant. We got to do something different. We got to change something. Many people don't realize, I think, also that there's side effects to all the medications. They trust the doctors. I get it. But who must follow? The doctors must follow a pharmaceutical protocol. So let's look at mammographies. Now, yes, early detection there's something to early detection. We totally get that. But let's look at these studies. Mammography is radiation. A mammography is supposed to be equal to 1,000 chest x-rays. Now we have 3-dimensional or 3D mammographies now that have slightly lowered the false positives, but they're still causes overdiagnosis. So radiation increases, every mammography increases 1% per year, increases your risk 1% per year if you do a mammography every year. One of the largest, most meticulous studies of mammography ever done would involve 90,000 women lasting over 25 years. It added a powerful doubts about the value of the screening test for women of any age, right? And then you take the breast and you squish it, you put pressure on it, you squeeze the tissue, you release cancer cells so they spread. It is found that the death rates from breast cancer and from all causes were the same in women who got mammograms and those who did not. And the screening had harms. 1 out of 5 cancers were found with mammography and treated was not a threat to the women's health and did not need treatment, such as lumpectomies, biopsies, chemotherapy, surgery, or radiation. So again, it's estimated 31% of breast cancer diagnoses are overdiagnosed. They're misdiagnosed by the Breast Cancer Awareness and Treatment Complex. Again, 3D mammographies, slightly improved outcomes here. And I met a lady quite a few years ago, or a few years back, maybe probably 5 years ago, and she was one that was doing thermographies. And I heard her speak, and I really latched onto that. I thought that was wonderful. She has a clinic in London. So you look up thermographies. She was so fired up about offering this type of screening test. She really did a great job of explaining the differences. No radiation, better at detecting the problem, tumors, less false positives. Not squishing the breast as well, right? So it can detect underlying physiological processes that may indicate inflammation in the tissue. Angiogenesis. Now, angiogenesis means growth of blood vessels feeding the tumor. Cancer-specific metabolic changes, so pick that up. Many years before, a calcified lesion would appear within an X-ray mammogram. So thermography. So who and what made mammography screening so popular? It's because it's a lot of profit. So very, very gentle with this slide here. Very sensitive, I realize. The whole movement of breast cancer awareness, the Pink Ribbons, was founded originally in 1985 by the drug company AstraZeneca, which manufactured the breast cancer drugs Arimidex and tamoxifen. So what happened was we created more awareness to create more screenings, to create more treatment and more drugs. Where does the research money go? Drugs. 2% to prevention. Now, with fundraising, don't get me wrong, from a humane standpoint, we want to be part of the solution. We want to run for the cure. We want to do all these things. But when you step outside North America, you'll find different ways of looking at this. You'll find different treatments. You'll find things like ozonation therapy, hyperthermia of blood, hyperbaric oxygen, vitamin C injection therapy, right nutrition to starve cancer cells, natural oncologists versus the dominant, really unchanging system of drugs, chemo, and radiation. AstraZeneca's top-selling breast cancer drug, tamoxifen, has been shown to cause leukemia, liver, uterine, and gastrointestinal cancers. So again, where is the big money to fund research on the causes of cancer? Susan G. Komen, if you're familiar with that name, her foundation thrives on cancer because along with all that make billions because of it. And what I really believe is a cure will never be found because cancer is too profitable. It's very sad, but is this how we'll be educated on cancer prevention? When you look at the pink buckets for the cure, pink M&Ms, you look at the celebrities, the sports teams, all of these conglomerates or industries that are also educating people on the same thing. Are they trying to cause it? Eating M&Ms, is that going to cure your cancer? Eating fried KFC chicken, I don't think so. So the Komen Foundation was also found many times misuse of funds. They were busted and fined, and so Komen, I believe, makes money off of not funding a cure. The diagnosis and the treatment is an industry all itself. The American Cancer Society actually was founded in 1913 by John D. Rockefeller Jr. Do you know his father, John D. Rockefeller Sr., founded the pharmaceutical industry in America? So what we want is the truth. When it comes to understanding breast cancer risk, it's natural history and what preventive and therapeutic steps should be employed to reduce its progress. Unfortunately, the breast cancer industry's influence stretches, again, from academia to government to celebrities, professional sports teams. So we need to do something different. All the more important to read between the lines. Remember that we alone are responsible for educating ourselves so that a truly informed choice is made. Dr. Richard Ablin, the founder of the PSA test, who since he made these comments, he's written a book called The Great Prostate Hoax. The founder of the PSA test. He said the test is hardly more effective than a coin toss. Why would the founder say that? Ablin further states, as I've been trying to make clear, he says, for many years, PSA testing can't detect prostate cancer. And more important, it can't distinguish between the types of prostate cancer, the one that will kill you and the one that won't. So what we know is that you can have prostate cancer and have a low PSA. You can have no prostate cancer and have a high PSA. There's a false positive rate about 78%. Useful only in a few cases where prostate cancer has spread. It was initially approved only for patients diagnosed with real prostate cancer, yet the rules were violated. So then it was marketed for general screening. So it's not preventive. Preventive is diet, supplementation, such as curcumin, fish oil, broccoli extract, cruciferous vegetables, vitamin D, nervous system care, nerves going to your body, your immune system, exercise, decreasing weight, decreasing stress. And we're going to talk about these. Radiation and chemotherapy. Okay, chemotherapy. So, and again, some of you are alive today, perhaps because you had radiation chemotherapy, but some call it bottle death. It stimulates inflammation. It causes what's called cytokines to be produced. It increases free radical damage. It promotes angiogenesis, growth of blood vessels, feeding a tumor. This is actually what chemo does. It suppresses your immunity. And it promotes cancer cell resistance. See, the chemo does not kill the stem cells. So the cancer typically comes back because the stem cells have not been killed. And it comes back typically even more aggressive. So do we kill it from the outside in? The cancer is not the tumor. The cancer is the environment. It's the condition of the body around the cells that allows cell growth and malignancy to occur. Like a dump truck, like a dump attracting rats. Okay, we use rat poison, put rat traps out there, but the environment, the sickness is still there. And so too will more rats eventually come back again. When they say the tumor is gone, it doesn't mean the cancer is gone. It means the effect of the cancer is gone. Billions of cells are still there. You can't see them. And then there's the dangerous violence of the method of chemotherapy, slaughtering cells wholesale, like throwing a grenade in the body, killing cells and hoping the body survives it. It's not targeting only the cancer cells. And again, the side effects of losing your hair, losing weight, losing appetite, getting pneumonia, getting an immune deficiency, because it's severe cellular intoxication. A Band-Aid, but never corrects the cause or the imbalance or the deficiency or the toxicity in the body. Now, radiation. If you take my body and put radiation in it, and chemotherapy in a healthy body, and radiation in a healthy body, what do you think is going to happen? It's going to destroy my immune system. What does it do to a cancer patient who already is weakened and has a weak immune system? The patient usually dies from heart failure. Had a patient the other day. She knows that. It damaged the heart. The patient dies from heart failure, not from cancer. The radiation burns through heart muscle, destroys tissue. And doesn't radiation cause cancer? So I'm not here to dispense medical advice, as my disclaimer admits. I'm not a medical doctor, but shouldn't we preserve the immune system? Shouldn't we be able to make better, informed decisions? So what is the most sensible approach? So the green swampy water on the top there, that's is that going to turn that's going to turn off the cancer fighting genes on the bottom there? That's going to turn on the cancer fighting genes. So do we treat the effect or do we correct the cause? So what happens to the fish if you irradiate the water? Well, they're going to die. So if you leave the water dirty and treat the fish, well, the body's still sick. It's toxic. Let's say you have high blood pressure, you have diabetic, you're taking multiple drugs. The toxic internal environment is what's allowing cancer to develop. As opposed to changing the water, changing the ecosystem that we have in our body, the fish live in, make the body a better environment so you increase the odds of not getting cancer in the first place. So when's a good time to start cleaning up our environment then? At least a little bit at a time, gaining the knowledge. That's what it's about. Dr. Otto Warburg. Otto, O-T-T-O, Warburg, W-A-R-B-U-R-G. In 1931, Nobel Prize winner for cancer discovery. He was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize 15 times. He says there's no diagnosis, including cancer, disease, including cancer, can exist in an alkaline, oxygenated environment. He investigated the metabolism of tumors and the respiration of cancer cells. He said cancer has only one primary cause, the replacement of the respiration of oxygen in normal cells by a fermentation of sugar. See, cancer does not like oxygen. It does not like an alkaline environment. It does not like oxygen. It does not like ketones. Loves sugar though. Cancer cells couldn't use oxygen. They used fermentation, needed sugar to create that fermentation. So here's a PET scan. So a PET scan is a positron emission tomography. Heard of a PET scan? The PET scan proves sugar feeds cancer. If you inject radionuclide glucose, all right, that's what they inject into the body, it lights up wherever the cancer is located. So the cancer cells get all bloated with the glucose or the sugar that they inject. The cancer cells soak up the glucose. The cancer cells have more receptors for glucose than they do anything else. They have more receptor sites on their cell membranes, cancer cells, for glucose. So if you want to starve cancer, what do you got to do? You have to stop the sugar. Yeah, if you have cancer, you got to stop 100%. And we talk about weight loss. We can talk about brain health, Alzheimer's, dementia, heart. You know, it's probably the same for most things. Got to stop 100% until you get out of it. But for most people will just say, I'm just going to have less. Well, I'm saying if you don't have these diseases or conditions, you can say, well, I'll just have less. But you can also say, I'll have none at all. So cancer feeds on sugar, does not like oxygen, does not like ketones, alkaline. Inflammation is created by sugar. It drives the cancer. It's making it grow faster and more likely to spread or metastasize. So why do they tell people who have cancer, you know, you're losing weight, they tell them to eat whatever. Eat sugar, eat Ensure. It's like gasoline on the fire, truly is. And so let's look at some of these. Some obvious ones, some not so obvious ones. Cakes, cookies, you know, we call them bad carbs. There's good carbs, there's bad carbs, right? Sugar and things that turn to sugar. Refined grains, yes, we'll talk about it. Wheat flour, whole wheat flour, bread, pasta, empty calories, and inflammatory producing. So the not so obvious ones are some of these perhaps as well, as we had stated. Now, one thing I do want to talk to you about is I personally don't eat any of this stuff. I don't, because even whole grains, spelt, barley, rye, sourdough, nothing like that, because these are all considered high glycemic. Now, I'm going to explain what glycemia is, but basically there's a greater response on the blood sugar than table sugar. A lot of these things have a greater response than table sugar. Causes insulin release, causes inflammation. So remember, 1 out of 3 people developing cancer, okay? This is a big reason why. So this is a big reason why. So the glycemic index, if you've heard this before, glycemic index is a scale of how fast a carbohydrate breaks down or gets absorbed and raises blood glucose, right? So it's how fast the blood glucose raises and it becomes sugar. The higher the index or the number, the worse the food is, how it affects blood sugar, how it raises insulin again, increases fat storage, increases inflammation, and raises triglycerides. That's what this does. For example, table sugar has a number on the scale of 63. So if you look at table sugar is 63, well, rice, white rice especially, most rice, is 69. It's actually higher than table sugar. It causes faster absorption of blood sugar, raises blood sugar faster. Popcorn and bread is anywhere from 70 to 85. Mashed potato, because you're mashing it up and you're breaking it up, it's 80. Instant potatoes, 90. And an example of a hidden sugar is what's called maltodextrin. So read the labels again. Maltodextrin is 100. So just because it sounds like it's not a sugar, you think of grains and bread and things like that, you still don't want to consume it. So you see, some carbs are worse than sugary foods because of how the body responds to it. Now, again, fiber-rich foods like vegetables, those are good carbs. Fruits you have to be careful with. Berries have the least amount of blood sugar response. So what fiber does, it slows down the absorption. So cancer-causing bad fats. So hydrogenated, things to look out for are hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils. Again, read the ingredients, read the labels. Vegetable oils, margarine, peanut butter, it's all partially or fully hydrogenated. Donuts, fried foods, fast food, air pop popcorn, all right? Restaurants. Now, in the restaurants, do you think they use coconut oil? Of course not. Vegetable oil is not from vegetables. It's like a frankenfood, they call it, a franken oil, if you will. Body doesn't know what to do with it. It clogs up the cells, congests the cells. It impedes the cell membranes. It impedes the cell membranes, which are made up of healthy fat. Cells have receptors for real food. It recognizes real food, food by God, we say, not man-made or franken foods. So cell receptors don't recognize these things, so it drives up the inflammation. It damages and congests the cells and damages the cell surface. You have to be careful for salad dressings. Lots of bad fats and high in sugar as well. So cancer-killing good fats, extra virgin olive oil. These are called anti-inflammatory foods. It also tempers your blood sugar. It dampens the blood sugar. It increases digestion, increases time for transit of the food. So cook on low heat only, or don't. Actually, I would say I wouldn't cook with olive oil at all unless you're maybe in a skillet or something. But you want to cook with coconut oil. Avocado oil is good too. Avocados, avocado oil, coconut oil. These are all healthy fats. Raw nuts and seeds and raw nut oils. Real butter, grass-fed butter if you can. Wild salmon. You know, the smash fish, we call them, the smash fish, the low mercury, cold water fatty fish. The smash fish are the salmon, mackerel, anchovy, sardine, herring, things like that. A fish oil supplement we have in our office as well through Thorne Research is fantastic. It contains the smash fish. Grass-fed meats, free-range eggs, free-range chicken, you know, these are all considered pretty good fats there. So you must shift from a bad carb diet to a good fat-rich diet. So again, mild protein, lots of vegetables, and lots of good fats. The worst thing to ever happen to our diets is the removal of fats. You know, they did that for 50 years, right? The cells need great fats to communicate with each other and for allowing the cells to detoxify and nutrients to come on in. So yes, we can starve cancer since it's the things that we eat that cause cancer in the first place, right? Primarily toxic, oxidized trans fats, partially and fully hydrogenated oils, omega-6 vegetable seed oils like corn oil, soy oil, canola, cottonseed, and others, which cause cancer by impairing the oxygen respiration in the cell. And again, this was proven by Otto Warburg, 1931. So anti-inflammatory foods and oils help you burn fat. If there's little to no sugar available, your body in your bloodstream, your body will in your digestive tract, your bloodstream, your body will use fat as the source of energy or fuel. Guess what happens? You lose weight. All cells use glucose or ketones as an energy source. You get ketones from healthy fats. But cancer, again, can only use glucose. It cannot use ketones. So again, want to starve cancer, prevent cancer, high healthy fats, low bad carbs, get rid of the bad carbs. There's about 249 natural foods experimentally confirmed as anti-breast cancer to produce anti-breast cancer activity. There's things like Cancer Tutor. You might write this down, Cancer Tutor, TUTOR.com. They have many, many different things they explain there of different treatments. Gerson therapies, Budwig protocols, Brzezinski methods. Again, ozonation therapy, hyperbaric oxygen, hyperthermia. I know they do this in Spain, I believe. They take the blood, remove it, and heat it up to like 107, then put it back in the body and kills the cancer cells. So this slide here, very brief. The reason why I say have the right doctors, to actually have the right testing, I personally have, I have a naturopath. My medical doctor is in Michigan. So I have a chiropractor, I have a massage therapist, naturopath, but I have what's called a integrative physician or a functional medical doctor. So I'm not saying you have to do that, but I have one in Michigan, and she does exactly, we work together for my body, my health, as a preventive in a proactive way. So again, getting the normal testing, getting DNA, I've had DNA testing, getting the hormones tested, getting vitamin D levels, getting glutathione checked, so other nutrient checks, micronutrient panels. So there's many things you can do. One thing is inflammatory markers. So a real basis of disease is inflammation in the body. A lot of people don't understand that, but inflammatory markers, that was one of the first checks that I had when I went to see this doctor in Michigan, because of the family history that I have, not so much of cancer, but of heart disease. Men in my family died very young of heart attacks. So the first thing she checks is active protein. And mine was great because of my lifestyle, because of my diet and everything like that. But inflammation starts to spill over. That's what happens in a lot of people. And we have symptoms. We can have fatigue, starts with malaise, dizziness, irritability, brain fog. But then it can get worse, right? Really, those conditions, those diseases start forming, like diabetes, weight gain, fibromyalgia, cancer. So inflammatory markers, again, the doctor should be checking these things. But again, no drug to affect this cause. There's no drug that can fix these things. You have to modify lifestyle. Drugs do treat the symptoms, yes, but you got to get these things, these other things checked. C-reactive protein, interleukin 6, TNF. It's called TNF. These are the things that will tell you if your body's set up for developing disease, or developing cancers. Conventional, traditional medical doctors really aren't checking these as part of the system we have in Canada, especially. Again, integrative, naturopaths maybe. In the States also, they have natural oncologists over there. We have a naturopath in Tecumseh and Windsor here, Megan Valero. Megan Valero is her name, and she is working with cancer patients as a naturopath. So what is a ketogenic diet? So first of all, Hippocrates said, "Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food." He also said, "Look well to the spine for the cause of disease." Thomas Edison had this quote that said, "The doctor of the future will give no medicine." I don't know about that, but he said, "The doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patients in diet, in the cause and prevention of disease, and the care of the human frame." So when you look at the ketogenic diet, the food aspect of things, it's kind of like paleo. Paleo is no sugars, grains, and dairy. Paleo is no sugars, grains, and dairy. That's pretty well what I do. And you include more healthy fat. Now, keto is like low carbs, not many carbs at all, especially the bad carbs. And you have a high healthy fat, producing ketones in the body. And remember, cancer cannot feed on ketones. So the weight loss workshop I did a few months back, I think we had 4 testimonies. All these women actually were doing a form of ketogenic diet. No sugars, no grains, no dairy, really going low carb and high healthy fats. On average, they lost 20 to 45 pounds. They're off their blood pressure medications, off, cholesterol medications. A couple of them were off acid reflux medications. So this really is the way to go. Look it up. Paleo, a little bit more advanced, is ketogenic. The ketogenic diet first started with treating seizure patients. They put them in ketosis, and the seizures stopped. So, which extended to cancer research based on Warburg's work. Not only cancer, but other diseases. They found heart, diabetes, brain, it's stabilizing blood pressure. So type 2 diabetes reversal, type 2 diabetes reversal is no sugars, no grains or fruit for 30 to 90 days. Healing those receptor sites that is not allowing the glucose to go from your blood into your cells to be used for energy. That's type 2 diabetes. It's the blood sugar is not going into the cells. There's insulin there, but there's no insulin sensitivity. It's called insulin resistance. So again, bad carbs. Get off of them for 30 to 90 days. Sugars, grains, and fruit. Even fruit. Not forever fruit, but for a time. So the way that I eat is I have mild protein, I have healthy fats, plenty of healthy fats, loads of vegetables, and I eat what's called low sugar fruits, which are typically berries. So you're not going to see bad carbs in a ketogenic and a paleo type of diet, a way of eating, call it a lifestyle. Okay. So here's a little bit more on this. Again, I'm more paleo. Breakfast, I typically have a shake. I do intermittent fasting. It's called a keto flex diet. I fast for at least 14 to 16 hours between dinner the night before and breakfast the next morning. Good for brain, good for gut health. I don't eat 3 hours before I go to bed, anything less than 3 hours before I go to bed. I use meat as a condiment. So, this is from the paleo cardiologist for heart health. The End of Alzheimer's by Dr. Dale Bredesen. He talks about paleo mild ketogenic. Cancer, full on keto. If you have cancer, my goodness, you got to be full on keto. That's what the research says. Autoimmune diseases, the Wahls Protocol talks about Paleo Plus, close to keto as well. Again, remember sugars, bad fats, things that turn to sugar. And of course, there's a whole confusing list of your hidden sugars, maltodextrin, glycerin, sucrose. There's so many there. Okay, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't promote the 6 meals a day. That's just giving you a constant supply of blood sugar or glucose. I don't believe in that. I think 3 meals a day. You may have a snack, but again, the snack, every meal is basically protein, good carb, so vegetable, protein, vegetable, healthy fat, right? And then you can have a low sugar fruit. If you have any of these diseases, you got to eliminate all the carbs. Basically, you got to go keto if you can, at least paleo. Okay, so back to epigenetics. More powerful than your GNA. So a core 4 that we stand for in our office is function of the body through function of the nervous system. Get the body moving, fitness, certainly nutrition, detoxification, supplementation, all through the massive amount of education that we offer here. So get moving. I recommend burst training, surge training, high intensity interval training. The science behind it is very, very clear. You want to build some lean muscle mass. It increases your metabolism. So you might need to start, maybe start for some of you, or maybe just need to up your game for others here. Is it possible to reduce medications, eliminate them even, reverse diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, autoimmune, cancer maybe, Yes. Create oxygen, reduce cancer risk. Remember, cancer cells don't survive in an oxygenated environment. You have to schedule it so it becomes a habit. It also detoxes the body, right? Sweat, perspiration. That's a good thing as well. So some of the cancer-causing toxins. Now, remember, toxins can turn off your genes. What toxins? Medications are toxins, heavy metals, processed foods, but also things like the next slide here. household cleaning products, soaps, shampoos, toothpaste, antiperspirant, cosmetics, water sources. You know, it does get a little more complicated, I guess, here, but we're giving you awareness here. So high fructose corn syrup, you know, these things, these genetically modified foods, corn, soy, animal feed, they feed corn to farmed fish. So don't eat farmed fish. Eat wild fish. So we're detoxifying them. You must detoxify. We have organs in our body, tissues, liver, gallbladder, you know, respiration. We have organs in our body that are designed to detoxify. But we have to make sure that we're helping them detoxify. We're not clogging them up. Get these organs working properly. There's a toxic overload to our cells. There's no doubt about it. In our food, air, and water, over 100,000 known toxins or chemicals. How do we stand a chance? So, heavy metals, things like mercury, lead, aluminum, mercury fillings. So again, it gets quite deep here. Cosmetics. We won't go there. So there's something called, you know, we have some in our office. We have protein shake. It's called SGS. Thorne Research makes a protein shake full of vitamins and minerals, your full vitamin, multivitamin support, zero sugars or carbs. It has liver detoxification support like milk thistle, and acetylcysteine, glutathione. These have powerful detoxification cofactors. So we have these things in our office. See, your liver is the pool filter of your body. So many people have problems with their liver. They don't even know it. Not maybe due to alcohol necessarily, but they have fatty livers. They have livers that are not working the way that they should. So we have these organs in our body that help detoxification, but we have to give them help, right? And that's why we say there should be some sort of detoxification daily or now and then to our bodies here. So you can take probiotics, you can take other things as well, activated charcoal. You know, we have these things available as well. So cancer prevention is about nutrition. You know, it's about exercise. Yes, it's about nervous system care. It's about getting them functioning better. It really is. Good stuff in, bad stuff out. So here's what happens with the toxins. At the cellular level, you've got DNA on the inside. The DNA on the inside of the cell is subject to what happens on the outside of the cell. The toxins, the sugars, the bad fats. When it comes to the cell surface, it irritates, those things irritate or damage and congest the cell and causes what? Inflammation. The cell wall is now blunted. It disrupts the integrity of the cell membrane. Good stuff, nutrients can't get in. Waste products can't get out. Then what happens to all those toxins? It changes the internal environment of the cell. It pulls the levers. It shuts off the cancer-fighting genes and detonates the cancer-causing genes. It's affecting the cells themselves and altering gene expression. That's how powerful we have a part to play. We all do. Antioxidants. What does antioxidant mean? It decreases free radicals, decreases oxidation. Detoxification. Again, detoxifying. Now, before I get into nervous system, I want to give you an example here. And again, this is all recorded here, so just to let you know. But I want to give an example of a patient that I had, actually a friend of a patient, had cancer in their body. And I'm just going to go kind of brief they went to this place in Arizona. It's not about knowing where that is or anything, but this was the letter that my patient's friend wrote to him. It's been about a week. What an experience so far. We've seen multiple examples of what people in traditional medicine would call miracles. Only because they only know what they learned in school and refuse or aren't allowed or are afraid to open their minds to the fact that there may be another way. One of my co-patients came directly here after being diagnosed with a massive tumor on the outside of one of her breasts. She's been here 3 weeks and the tumor is less than half the size it was when she got here. Another woman had tumors on her breast, spine, and 4 on her liver. Just by going to a raw vegan diet for 3 months diffused them all. She had another PET scan. The tumors don't light up anymore. They show up as scar tissue. Her oncologist at home in Florida was baffled. A typical day every day starts with a class on either food prep or how food affects the body. I get 3 or 4 vitamin C IVs injections every day. I have a PICC line in my right arm. It allows for quick access to give me IVs or draw blood without poking me every time. High dose vitamin C, which turns to hydrogen peroxide, kills the hell out of cancer cells without harming other cells. It also boosts the immune system. I will be taking a vitamin C supplement the rest of my life. I certainly do. Not the massive dose I get in the IV, but still a lot. Autohemotherapy. They withdraw a pint of my blood, mix it with ozone. It's called ozonization therapy, and give it back to me in an IV. This creates an oxygen-rich environment in which cancer cannot live. It also stimulates the recruitment of more cytotoxic lymphocytes to eliminate cancer and other chronic conditions. B17 amygdalin. It releases a powerful cytotoxin, hydrogen cyanide, that kills the hell out of cancer without damaging healthy cells. And there are other things. I also take a specially formulated substance called ivermectin. It kills parasites that reside in the colon. So again, just giving you, I have other adjunct procedures. I do colon hydrotherapy, infrared sauna, sweating the toxins out through my skin, manual lymphatic drainage, myofascial release. I get body work, chiropractic care, and I work with a chiropractor as well. So myofascial release, and I work with a chiropractor. Counseling. I never realized how toxic stress is to the body and how it can feed cancer. I also never stopped to think about how much stress I've endured and brought on myself. Time for a change. So they get counseling as part of the treatment. 2 private consultations with the doctors each week, lasting a couple hours a week. I'm also in the middle of a 7-day fast where we consume nothing but green juice. They make us about 3 quarts per day. It's another major detoxification strategy. So just let you know what's happening in other parts of the world. Okay. So let's finish up. Now, I want to talk about the nervous system. So the guests that are on here, please stay on just for a little bit while longer. Give me another 5 minutes here. And then I do want to present something to everybody at the end here. So, but we got to talk about nerve supply. Now, Dr. Ronald Perot, Newark Cancer Research Center, he worked until 1975. He studied the immune systems of cancer patients, non-cancer patients, and non-cancer patients under chiropractic care. So what does chiropractic care have to do with this? He found that the chiropractic patients had immune systems on average 300% stronger than cancer patients. It had an effect on the T cells and the B cells and the immune system. Okay. And by the way, yes, I am a wellness expert. I'm a wellness doctor. I'm a drug-free doctor. But for the guests here, my professional training is a chiropractor. I've been a chiropractor for over 25 years. I've been teaching these workshops, love getting the resources. I have great resources. I've been teaching these for 25 years. So I'm a wellness doctor as well. When you think of chiropractic, though, I'll be honest with you, most people think back pain, neck pain, headaches, carpal tunnel syndrome, sciatica, pain down the legs. But what I wish people knew is that we can help people with allergies, low energy, sleep issues, digestive issues, immunity issues, right? And we have solutions, for even help. I'm not saying cures, but we can help steer you in the right direction there with even the big diseases. Every person has cancer cells in the body. Cancer cells do not show up in the standard tests until they have multiplied to a few billion. If the immune system weakens too much, that's when cancer can establish itself, right? So interference to the nervous system causes decreased infection and healing capacity. So this was a study in 1990. The CD4, it's called white blood cell count. they found that people under chiropractic care showed a 48% increase in CD4 white blood cell counts compared to those that did not receive chiropractic care. These were HIV positive patients. White blood cells increased, viral load decreased. Some got off their AZT. Nerve fibers, according to Dr. David Felton at the University of Rochester School of Medicine, nerve fibers go into every organ of the immune system. We found that if you took the nerves away from the spleen or lymph nodes, you virtually stop the immune system in its tracks. Okay, on the left, you're seeing the spine, you're seeing the nerves, where the nerves go, the effects of having what's called spinal misalignments, putting pressure on the nerves, what they can do to the body. On the right, you have the autonomic nervous system. That's how the body works. The nervous system is the master system of the body. It controls and coordinates all the functions of the body. It goes to all the tissue cells, all the organs, all the muscles, all the joints. It is a major, major system in the body. It controls the other systems. So what is a subluxation? Subluxation. It's a bone out of alignment. It's things that are out of alignment, not working properly in your spine, that interferes or blocks or irritates the nerves coming out of the spine. The weight of a dime, according to Dr. Chung Ho Soo in 1970 at University of Colorado, said the weight of a dime on a spinal nerve can decrease the nerve signal, the nerve transmission to wherever that nerve is going to. Could be an organ, could be a body part, by as much as 60% in 3 minutes. Most of the time, you can't feel it at first. 10% of the nerves carry pain signals. 90% of the function of your nervous system, of the nerves, goes to control the function of the body, goes to control the systems of the body, including your immune system. Okay. So a nerve system evaluation, there's warning signs. You may not have the warning signs though, but things like fatigue, tiredness, insomnia, depression, anxiety have been linked to the autonomic or the sympathetic nervous system. Chronic colds and flus, sinus trouble, allergies, pain, numbness, weakness in the arms or legs, headaches, brain fog. And of course, there's back and neck pain and stooped postures and scoliosis, curvatures of the spine, sciatica, pain going down the leg. So again, exercise, nervous system care, decrease stress, decrease weight, linked to cancer, decrease your weight, dramatically decrease your sugar, your high glucose intake, increase the healthy fats, especially the omega-3 fats, decrease exposure to environmental chemicals, especially pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides, and household items, right? Remove chemicals, preservatives, colorings, and flavorings. If you can't read it on a label, if you don't understand what the word says, it's probably not good to put in your body. Include supplements in your diet, please, that have cancer-inhibiting effects. There's things like plant extracts, herbal extracts, things like broccoli extract, selected varietals and vegetables, things like kale, broccoli again, broccoli extract, dark leafy greens, antioxidant foods, right? So for the guests, and by the way, for the patients as well, we're going to send, just for the patients, I'm sorry to say, but for the patients, I'm going to send you a separate link tomorrow regarding the supplements and the botanicals proven to prevent cancer and boost your immune system as well. We're going to send that to my patients. It's just basically because of a disclaimer, I'm only allowed to send them to the patients. But for the guests, you do have an opportunity as to become part of our culture and being on this talk tonight. At the very least, I would say get your spine and nervous system evaluated. It's utterly important for body function in the body. We do a consult, and I'll just explain the offer here. Got the offer up here. Can't get the offer up.
Oh, just wait a minute. I'm just going to type back in because I'm not connected.
No, come over here then. Okay, so for the guests that are here, we do have an offer for you, a consultation, an examination, a consultation examination and the thorough analysis of your spine and nervous system. We have a second visit for you as well. Normally, this fee is about $175. We're offering it to you for $29. Okay, we're going to put the offer up in just a moment. Should be on our right side here that you can press a link here. So we're just trying to put the offer up for you on the right side, because when the internet went off, it also knocked the offer out as well. So what's up here? Oh, I did something. No, I got out of it here, so help me out. Get me back. I clicked the link. Click the link. Okay, there we go. I'm back. So all you do is click the offer, and we'll be contacting you. We have your email there, so you can do that. And again, if you want to make an appointment just to get the spine nervous system evaluated, you can do that. And for the patients, we're going to send you the link tomorrow on the supplements that we're recommending, and Thorne Research recommends for cancer prevention. Okay. So again, thank you. Thanks for those who stuck around there. Can't control the internet, and but we thank you for being on here, and look forward to talking to you soon if you're a guest. And the patients will see you later this week. All of you that attended, have a great night. And we'll just leave this offer on just a couple more minutes here.